In terms of other cultural differences, I hate to reference the book from the 50s, but many of us are still ugly Americans. And I don't mean that in terms of your visual appearance. I'm looking around the room. Everybody's very attractive here. But we are ugly Americans. If you spend 7 minutes of your life watching a little video on YouTube called Shift Happens, remember to put the F down so you don't think I cursed up here on the stage, but Shift Happens is about just how unprepared we really are as a society for doing business abroad. You know, our science, technology, and mathematics literacy, our language literacy. I mean, how many of your children speak more than 1 or 2 or 3 languages? You know, and the difference between New York and New Jersey doesn't count. I mean, it's got to be real other languages. And just getting ready for that process, the time commitment. Listen to what Arnon said. His ability to drive success in his company, which is, you know, you are the model citizen for exporting right now, came and began with a passion for international travel. You know, if you're sitting here today and the thought of getting on a plane or over by 4 hours just turns your stomach, you know, maybe there's a disconnect between your strategy and reality. And so I'll stop there and we'll get more interactive, but I just want to reinforce just how important it is for there to be an alignment between who you are and what your commitments are and what your business strategy may be. And you know, I know Shelby just came in, great speaker from a previous session, and she can reinforce this. You know, just to make sure that your business plan for domestic, your business plan for abroad, and sort of your life plan are all aligned.
That's very, very good advice. We see so many businesses who suffer the same types of consequences. We'd like to move on now. And by the way, if you have questions, please hold them, because we are going to try to allow, even though we're trying to jam in a lot in a short period of time, we are going to try to allow for Q&A. So scribble down your questions, and hopefully we'll get to some later on. Right now, we want to talk about what resources are out there to assist you, to help you determine whether you're export ready. What market? Where do I go? How do I know? How did Arnon know that his flooring would be good in, you know, Mozambique or not? So there are many, many resources. And I know that we had a chat before coming on stage here that so many small businesses do not even know the amount of resources that are available. And with the net today and with the Google search and everything else, do not hesitate to use that as a resource background, because you need to find these resources. They can answer so many questions and help you jump over hurdles that you wouldn't be able to jump over if you didn't have the right advice. So our panelists are experts in this. So we're going to start with Ryan talking about some of the, based on his background. As you can see, he has a wonderful background in Washington and up here with all the different resources available. So Ryan, tell us about a few.
Well, I'm with, as you all know, the U.S. Department of Commerce, and throughout the United States, our biggest resource that we offer to U.S. companies. In New York, we're very lucky. We're co-located with the SBA. I know Tony is here. She'll be speaking on a panel later, and Export-Import Bank. And really, our sole mission, just like our colleagues around the U.S., is to help U.S. companies export. And essentially, what I tell future clients is that we're the best-kept secret in the government. Because nobody knows what's going on, and nobody knows the resources that we have that's available. When we reach out to clients and we say, oh, I'm calling from the U.S. government with the Department of Commerce, they think, oh, man, what did I do? You know, what's wrong? What's going on here? Why am I getting a call from the government? And they don't realize that basically we can help take a company from A to Z and help them export a product or a service. And yes, you can export services, whether it's a project management or a financial services, consulting services. Services are exports as well, believe it or not. It's not just the average widget. And so we help them identify markets. If you're interested in exporting, the first thing you need to learn is export.gov. www.export.gov. That is our website. That is where you can find free market research, a basic guide to exporting, how to locate tariffs, how to locate your Schedule B number. So how is your product going to be identified overseas? And so we also take it a step further, which I'll have Arnon go into a little bit, is we help play matchmaker for companies. We use our resources overseas, and basically in every consulate or U.S. embassy. we have a commercial attaché, Department of Commerce office, where their sole mission is to help companies enter that particular market. And whether that's through finding distributors, partners, navigating the government procurement terrain, you name it, help with finding the right people to help file for trademarks and patents. So through that, and the one caveat I must say before we go any further is that to use our services, you have to have, your product has to have 51% U.S. content. And there are also ways to work with you on that between R&D, packaging, marketing. There are other great groups out there that people don't think of. UK Trade and Investment, I know, is here. Almost every country has a trade consulate or some consulate here in New York City where they help U.S. companies enter a market. State agencies, Empire State Development Corporation, New Jersey Economic Development Authority. Every state has similar avenues. Chambers of Commerce are great resources. Trade missions, associations. So there are so many resources that are out there that I think companies don't realize, and they just do some Google searches and pick up the phone and start making cold calls or sending cold emails and get frustrated and say, well, I gave it a good try. But there are agencies that are out there that, I mean, I hate to use the term, but they're there to hold your hand for each step, which as a small business is helpful, and you need it. And I don't mean in a derogatory way, but a lot of small businesses need that to how to navigate what to prepare for before, during, and after a trip. And what trade missions are out there, webinars, trade shows, both in the U.S. and overseas. So there are so many resources out there, and the one I'll have Arnon talk about that he's utilized with some great success is our Gold Key service. And that's where basically it is a fee service as it's cost recovery, but our commercial specialists in a particular market essentially become your marketing arms and legs in that market. They do all the cold calling. They do all of the marketing for you. They go out and meet with the companies to assess really, are they interested? Are they a good fit for you with the parameters that you've actually given them of exactly what you want out of a partner in a market. And believe it or not, for a small company, which you all are, it's $700 to have that done for you. And they'll set up a day's worth of meetings for a company. That's generally 3 to 5 meetings. As we talked about, the last thing you want to do is overbook yourself. And so you're on a whirlwind of a tour. And you don't remember Tom from Ann that you met and really have an idea. So there are a lot of great resources out there. And I'll defer to Arnon to talk about some that he's used within the box of Department of Commerce and outside of the box to help them grow their exports.
I'm just going to jump in here first because I think that pretty much what Ryan is saying is that for me, I always recommend that the U.S. Department of Commerce should be your first stop because they will help you assess what your product is, whether or not you're ready, and everything else. If you go to the state, if you go to the AmChams, if you go to the World Trade Centers, if you go to a lot of the other resources, they will help you expand your market, but they're not going to help you with that first determination. Are you ready? Get yourself together. So I think the U.S. Department of Commerce, for me, that's where I recommend that people go for the first step. And then all those others could be your marketing partners over and above and beyond the Gold Key, but they really work with you initially to make sure that you've got yourself together to be even ready to market yourself.
Yeah.
So,
and actually, all of that stuff is free.
Right.
The only time that there are costs is when you do say a customized service. So
and I would tell you, if you cannot afford $700, you shouldn't even be thinking about exporting.
Well,
So
the results that Arnon's had since.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'd say it was a pretty good investment.